Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, the pandemic has been brutal on people who are wrestling with sobriety. We'll be talking to the head of a local nonprofit that has the recipe for success. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox. Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So the good news is there's an end in sight to the pandemic that we've all been wrestling with for the last year, but there's another pandemic coming, and it's a pandemic of alcoholism and drug abuse. To talk about that today, Marsha Williamson, she's the CEO of Dallas 24-Hour Club. Thank you for coming on the show.
I'm honored, thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you because you were recognized by DCEO magazine for the Leadership Excellence Award for small nonprofits. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. You have no idea what a surprise that was. It was a wonderful honor, and I love it because it was not so much about me, but it was about our organization, which is really providing wonderful services for those struggling with alcohol and drugs.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit more about Dallas 24-Hour Club, because it's not a new organization by any means.
No, it's not. It was founded in 1969 by Lee Tillman, who is a wonderful man, and he really wanted to have safe, sober, transitional living for homeless men and women who are seeking a brand new life away from drugs and alcohol.
And so we hinted at the beginning of the show that the pandemic leads to kind of a downward spiral of addiction. People are isolated, often they're nervous, or they're self-medicating. Are you seeing that on the front line?
Yes, we are. It's a very slippery slope. Once someone begins to use again, they typically lose their job, they burn the bridges with their family and their friends, and so they're left homeless a lot of the time. And then when that happens, their physical, mental, and emotional health begins to deteriorate. So they're a mess by the time they get to us.
Yes. It was a wonderful video created for your organization. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
I have a PhD in being an alcoholic.
Like most addicts and alcoholics, I was probably an alcoholic before I picked up my first drink.
It was when I went to college that I actually started drinking.
I probably started when I was about 14 years old or so.
Alcohol and drugs became a part of my life at a very young age, like around 5 years old.
My dad sold moonshine whiskey in the 30s. And I found it and got those little pint bottles with beautiful brown whiskey in them. Looked like pop to me. So I drank a little bit of it. That's my first time I got drunk. That was 4.5 years old.
From Lee Tillman, the founder of the Dallas 24-Hour Club half a century ago, to the hundreds of thousands who have endured life as an addict or alcoholic, the journey was never kind until they finally arrived at the 2-4.
We have all ranges of gender and ethnicity. We don't discriminate, and we love to help anybody that walks in our door.
Okay, I was living on the street. I was sleeping behind a washateria over here at Gaston and Carroll for a year.
It's a situation where so many of us kind of look at it as panhandlers or folks in the streets, but when you get to know these individuals, your heart breaks because you understand the human tragedy of what an individual is going through.
It cripples you, it handicapped me. The normal stuff that I do, I wasn't even doing, just like basic hygiene things and just getting dressed, caring about your appearance, brushing your teeth even. It was a task. And, I felt really, really crippled. I didn't feel human at all right before I came here. So when I came here to the 2-4, they have resources available.
The vision of the 2-4, is to provide safe, sober transitional living for homeless men and women seeking a brand new life away from drugs and alcohol so that they can become self-supporting, contributing members of society.
So one of the directors here says, this is the most unique place to land in the universe. And I totally agree with that. It's awesome. Miracles happen here. You watch them happen.
And those that are the beneficiaries of those miracles at the 2-4 are forever grateful every single day.
It's been a magical place because it has enabled me to keep what I have and to live the kind of life that I always wanted to, but I never knew how.
24-hour club, where it changed my life. It gave me a sense of purpose.
I came into this job thinking it was just a job. It was a temporary job. I fell in love with the people. I found out that homeless people deserve a second chance. And I think our society wants to hide them behind closed doors. So yes, I get the privilege of seeing their lives change, but I also have seen my life change dramatically.
It's clear that it's not just a job for you. I mean, this is your passion, this is your mission, this is your ministry. And you have a very personal relationship with this subject. Can you share?
Sure. You know, we had a son who struggled with drugs and alcohol and mental illness for decades. And when I was asked to join the 2-4 in 2014, I was really prepared to want to share with people my passion and my love for those who struggle. And unfortunately, our son did not make it. He is deceased since 2018, but his legacy lives on in our hearts, and it has really motivated me to even be more passionate about helping those who are homeless that are struggling.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry for your loss, but all the wonderful things you're doing. And we should point out that you're doing something very creative. I had in the tease, you know, you've got the recipe for success. Literally, you have a recipe book. So talk a little bit about that. What because you guys had to pivot during the pandemic. You couldn't hold your annual dine-in event. So what did you guys do?
Well, you know, sometimes creative thinkers think outside the box, and our communications and development director literally blurted out the day that we decided to not hold our dining in event and said, why don't we do a cookbook? We had all the chef support since 2014. We knew them. We felt like they would come alongside of us. And so we produced our own cookbook. And it was wildly successful. We've sold over 1,700 copies.
Wow.
We raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we are going to do that again this year, just in caution, instead of having an in-person 800 people event. So we are excited. It's going to be called Cooking at Home, which is, cooking at home we're all doing through the seasons.
Wow. And you got the attention of the Dallas Morning News. Let's go ahead and put that headline up. That was a great article. The media's climbed on board. For the person who is interested, I mean, these recipes come from people that you're working with, or are they celebrity chefs?
They're celebrity chefs.
Yeah.
They're chefs from all over the Dallas area. We have about 40. We are recruiting chefs for this next cookbook, but they could not have been more supportive, especially when they were under huge stress. In May and June, when we reached out to them, they said, yes, we will provide a recipe. We'll do whatever we can.
And cooking is a big part of what you do to get your residents back on, working again. So tell me more about your food ministry, if you will.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we do is provide our residents with food for 30 days, and we have a full-service restaurant. And it's staffed by our residents who apply to be in our kitchen training program. So we're open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The public, when we're not in COVID, can come in and have a meal. And we have something very exciting that just happened recently. El Centro Hospitality Center got in touch with us and said, we have grants available. We want your kitchen staff to come and go to school and get an associate's degree so that they will have a career in the food industry.
Yeah, which I applaud.
Yay.
I applaud you, because I think so many nonprofits are providing a Band-Aid solution and with a degree and a hope of a great job in the food service industry. I mean, you're really giving them the keys to their kingdom.
Well, and so many of our residents have really harmed their job history, so that it's difficult for them to get a job unless it's a day job And so we're trying to branch out and figure out new ways for our people to get solid careers, even if they don't have a good education.
There's some more exciting news, and we're going to go ahead and put it up on the screen. The Tillman House. Tell us about that.
Oh, my goodness. You know how something happens and you have to pinch yourself. I had a phone call from a friend who said, I have an apartment complex that I want the 24-hour club to buy. It's 18 units. It's within 10 minutes walking distance of the 2-4. And it was something I had dreamed about because we had realized that we had a really good success rate, but so many of our people had to go back to the suburbs to live, and there was not public transportation. So that isolated them. They couldn't get to their job. They couldn't get to recovery meetings. And guess what? They relapsed. So our idea was if we could find a new home, apartment place, then it was affordable, that then we could have staff on site and it would help them transition from being in a more highly structured place to a less structured place to then preparing them to live independently.
What's your favorite success story to date? The one that you've witnessed, and I know you've seen countless people come through your program. Does anybody come to mind when you say this is why we do this?
Gosh, I would have to. I'm flooded with memories. I'm not sure I could come up with just one. Well, yes, I can. Almost all of our key staff, including our COO, our 2 program managers, on down the line, our facilities manager, have all been residents of the 24-hour club. They came in broken. They came in with hopeless, and they got back on their feet. They succeeded, and we did not hire them because they were residents, former residents. We hired them because they're really good at their job.
Wow.
So every day when I get to go to work and see them in action and see how they're giving back to their fellow residents, it makes me the happiest that I can be.
Wow, that's a good way to end this segment. We're going to go ahead and put the website on the screen so people can donate and plug in. Dallas24hourclub.org is the website. Marsha Williamson, thank you so much for your gift to the planet. You're really changing lives.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.